What's up? What's up, everybody? Pumped to be here. It's Friday night. I feel like, and Evan, I know you're over there in California. You know, we had a good game last night in the Chargers and that Denver game. Obviously, some playoff implications in it, but I thought at the beginning of that game, Justin Herbert was just gonna, crap the bed, and I was hoping not. You know what I mean? Because I have him in one of my big money league as quarterback. But the second half he really put it together. How did you feel that? Do you think the Chargers? I mean, you think this is the real deal, or do you think we're gonna see both these teams in the playoffs?
I think we could see both teams. I mean, Denver still has, at Cincinnati, which could be a huge game, right? I mean, the Bengals trying to win all their games, and then Kansas City, which my only concern there is KC might not have anything to play for, right? So if that ends up being the case, Denver maybe lucks in that way. But, I mean, I could see Cincinnati winning both their games and Denver somehow finding a way out. But we could definitely see both teams in. I don't know if either team is really very scary. I'm sure you guys saw they beat up on bad teams and they don't beat very good teams. Maybe they could steal a win in the first round and then probably get embarrassed by one of the better teams, but at least we got to see some fireworks. I don't know how much it really impacted the fantasy world outside of Herbert, and Knicks. I mean, Sutton, McConkey, but all the touchdowns scored by, I know, guys that were totally in your guys' lineup for sure.
All of them.
I did have Ladd in the lineup. I was hoping for a touchdown, but I was happy with what I got.
You didn't have Burton in there? Burton and Haskins weren't your RB1 and 2?
No. Hassan Haskins, passing down running back.
Yeah.
Hey, 100%. Look, we got some people already popping into the show tonight. Jerry Bagwell, hi all. What's up, Jerry? It's been a minute. Glad you're tuning in tonight. We got T Razorback over on Twitch. What's up, guys? Thanks for the love. Yeah, so this is our Friday night show from the forum, and we are here for you. It's the semifinals for most. For some people, it's the finals. So we are here for your start and sit questions. Drop them in the chat. We're going to roll through, and we're going to try to give you some good data. You're still making the decision. You're still putting them in your start or sit spot, but we're here to help. And off the cuff, I mean, even before we went live, we had Mike, Virginia, popping in. Who sits half-point PPR, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Kenneth Walker? Go ahead, Chase. You look like you're ready, like you're geared up.
This is a bitter pill for me to swallow here on air. Cooper Kupp and Tyreek Hill were two of my first three picks in my home league. I got a whopping 13.2 combined points from Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, and Derek Flippin Henry opening weekend of playoffs. So needless to say, I'm spectating the rest of my home league playoffs here. But to be honest with you, I've got Kupp and Tyreek Hill in half-point PPR. I've got Kupp and Tyreek Hill at 17 and 18. I've got them both as mid-wide receiver 2 plays. Honestly, to me, I'm sitting Kenneth Walker right now because I'm just not – I know he's off the injury report and that they're planning on playing him, but they're also planning on playing Zach Charbonnet. He's off the injury report. And, oh, by the way, Zach Charbonnet is a captain for the game on Sunday as well. So you got to keep in mind that with him coming back and with them fighting for a playoff spot, they don't want to necessarily just run his butt into the ground. I'm concerned that they may play it a little safe with Kenneth Walker and run a little bit more Charbonnet and have it be a lot more balanced split than what we saw earlier in the season when it was definitely Walker's show. I'm going with Kupp and Tyreek Hill here. I'm sitting Kenneth Walker.
All right. And Dustin, you're shaking your head. Are you debating there?
Yeah, I'm sitting Tyreek Hill. Listen, San Fran has a really good secondary and no Jalen Waddle. He's doubtful, so I doubt he plays. So you're looking at it's Tyreek Hill and Jonnu Smith and then nobody else for Miami. I think San Fran can take Tyreek Hill out. He's just been okay this year. He hasn't been great. I know Kupp just had a stinker, but he still played a ton of snaps, still getting some targets. It's going to be Puka's show, and Kupp's going to be the two. I agree. I'm worried about Kenneth Walker with that calf injury, but I think you have to roll him out now that he's fully back. If he wasn't practicing, I can see it. But he's back fully practiced. He's off the injury report. I think he's still going to get 10-plus carries. I think he'll be fine. Yes, Minnesota is good against the run, but I think Kenneth Walker can catch some passes. So I'm still sitting Tyreek Hill this week.
All right.
So who do you like more? There, Mike from Virginia. It depends on whose information you like more. Yes. Glad we could help you out, dude.
I mean, Evan, you got anything to kind of? It seems like Cup is a consensus start, and the debate is between Hill or Walker. So if you have to choose right now, gun pointed to your head, are you going Hill or Walker?
I mean, I can make it real fun and make the argument why you should sit Cup, but I won't do that to mess with mine. No, I mean, yeah, you got to go back to Cooper Kupp, right? I mean, I know the week before wasn't great either, but like you have to play him. I like what both guys said. I mean, I agree with both too. Walker scares me. If I'm the Seahawks, I'm using Charbonnet as well, and who also can catch the ball. I don't see the reason to run Walker back. I like what Dustin said, but I'm going to lean with sitting Walker only because Tyreek had 2 good games before last week. And like, if I'm the Dolphins, I'm just hyper targeting Hill. I'm getting the ball in his hands. And once he has the ball in his hands, yes, Dustin, it might be a 2-yard pass, but then he can run, he could run for 70. And you got to think they just hyper target him. And then Walker, there's just that concern, right? And Charbonnet can fill in. So I think you see a split load. I know, though, we've seen Charbonnet fill in, and when Walker's healthy, they go right back to Walker as if Charbonnet's not there. And I think that's why Dustin, made that point. Yep. So I'm just going to play kind of the boom upside with getting the ball in Hill's hands with Charbonnet still being there.
Neither one of them has a great matchup. Yeah, San Francisco's 28th against opposing wide receivers. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm a much more cautious player, so I'll take the safer floor in Kenneth Walker, where you want the upside in Tyreek Hill, which I think is fine. It just depends on what you want and how the rest of your team is balanced. If you have maybe a couple other safe floor guys, you can throw Tyreek Hill for the upside, but if you have maybe a bunch of boom bust guys, maybe you want the safer floor. So that's where team dynamics really plays into it.
That's the smartest thing that's been said in 8 minutes on this show so far, Mike.
Look, I'm loving it. If you're tuned in, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe. We're going to keep rolling through these questions all hour long. So drop them in. And we got the next one from Southern Dads Gaming. Should I start Najee or Jerome Ford this week? So I actually know Southern Dads Gaming, and I'm playing him in a league in the semifinal. And I know that he is making this decision. And in all fairness, I'm actually going to give you a little feedback. And these guys may not agree with me, but if it is me, and I don't want to tell you this because I know you're going to do it. It's hard not to roll with Jerome Ford. Browns run game works. Like, they can run the ball. You're going to have DTR, so you're not going to have a ton down the field. And if you do have, you're going to have dump offs. You're going to have, and it just feels like a game, especially it's not a crazy difficult matchup against the run, that Jerome Ford could absolutely go off. I'm hoping, and I can't say this on air really, but that maybe he doesn't make it through the whole game. Maybe, maybe the calf gets a little sore and he needs to rest for a little bit, or maybe DTR decides he wants to run the entire game. Yep. But if it's me, I'm rolling with Jerome Ford.
Southern Dad, he's not just blowing smoke at you to try and beat your ass this week. Listen, over the last 3 weeks, Najee Harris has averaged about 13 points a game. Jerome Ford has averaged about 11 points a game, and that's not as the feature primary back. He's the pass-catching back. He's been the pass-catching back for Cleveland. Now he's going to be the actual featured runner as well. He's got the better matchup. He's not just telling you that so he can slip one over on you there, Southern Dad. So, yeah, Jerome Ford is the play as gross as it might seem in the second week of the playoffs.
No, I agree with that. It's got to be Jerome Ford. You've seen Najee Harris have down games in terms of snap percentage when he's healthy and Jaylen Warren is healthy. When those down games, he's getting what Jerome Ford was getting when he's the backup. So Jerome Ford should be in line for a ton of snaps, a ton of volume, where Najee Harris can be taken out of the game. Watching game film, Jaylen Warren looks like the better runner for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is in the playoffs, so they might be willing to rest Najee Harris for a little bit, whereas Cleveland doesn't really have anything else. They don't have to rest Jerome Ford. They might just run him into the ground. So you could see Najee Harris only get 8 carries and play 30% of the snaps because they want to save him for playoffs down the road. So I think it's their own forward all day.
Could be a Cordero Patterson cannon fodder game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Have fun. We're down by 14.
I think the good thing about Ford,
feedback.
the good thing about Ford too is like Cincinnati's offense has been electric, and they should put up a ton of points in this game, which means the pass catching back, who's now is the full-time back, also still gets the pass catching in a negative game script. Like, what's better than that, you know? So I think Ford is, it's really not close for me. It's Ford all day.
All right. Well, moving on, Evan, I'm going to drop this one to you from Bridge the Gap. Tua or Richardson, projected as the underdog.
Hey, first, go follow Bridge the Gap. Great dude over there as well. Good stuff, But I think the second part of that is kind of the answer. Projected as the underdog. I mean, the upside for me, is Anthony Richardson. I know it's a terrible floor, but hey, Tua was.
It's a terrible floor.
It is a terrible floor.
But Tua's floor, Miami let us down last week. They looked like they were moving and grooving for a couple weeks, and then we see Waddle get hurt. We see Tua just, crap the bed. And so, and like you said, San Francisco is pretty solid against the pass. They're not anything special, but they find a way to contain. So Tua's going to, again, even with Tyreek Hill, he's going to drop the ball off, short targets, see if they can catch and run a little bit. Niners probably going to swarm on that. Tyreek's the one guy that can break free and maybe get you something for Tua. But Anthony Richardson, he's going to run. You hope that he can throw for one, run for one at least. But there's always the hope for more. It's like the Justin Fields thing. How many times in Chicago were they losing games, but he was a top 5, top 10 quarterback? You only have that upside with Richardson. You need the boom. It's got to be AR.
Chase, you got a different take? I know it hurts me to say AR. I've not been an AR, but I actually rolled AR out last week.
I'm sitting at home now partially because of that. So
I have Tua Tagovailoa ranked QB 13 for the week. I have Anthony Richardson ranked QB 14 on the week. So I'm disagreeing with Evan, but only by the slightest of margins, and neither one of them makes me feel good about anything in life.
Yeah, this is my question. This is my family league. I'm playing my mom in the semifinals. I want to beat her. I just beat my dad, so this is a tough one. I played Tua last week, and luckily I had Devontae Adams, who carried me over my dad. So I'm trying to beat my mom, and they're projected like 1 point apart from each other. I agree with you guys. I think it's got to be Richardson for the upside. He also has Jonathan Taylor, so I'm hoping maybe Richardson steals some of that work, or if there's dump-off passes, I can kind of negate some of those points as well. So looking to beat my mom.
We just talked about the matchup, too, with San Francisco. They do not give up points to opposing quarterbacks.
Yeah, Tua is just going to – I think that San Francisco matchup sways it for me. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So hopefully I can report next week that I have beaten my mother and advanced to the finals, and hopefully either beating my brother or my nephew, and we'll see. So it's going to be good.
There we go.
Love it.
Sorry, Mom.
Got Albert popping in. What's up, fellas? Amber, hello, gents. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Loving it tonight. Loving the energy on the show. Just keep dropping it. And then we got, Jerry giving Mike Virginia some love. Let's go Hoosiers. And
Hoosiers got to wake their butts up because it's second half and they're not doing hot.
And the Tootsie Pop on what's up, Rachel? Appreciate you tuning in. Good evening. Shakir or Thielen this week? And this is interesting. We've seen Thielen be really productive and be a target hog. And then we saw Shakir not only get targets, but get a rushing touchdown last week. I understand the dive on this one. What do you think, Chase? Are you leaning Shakir or Thielen?
Once again, shameless plug to point people to my rankings over at fantasysportsadvice.com. I have, for the week, Adam Thielen ranked as wide receiver 28, Khalil Shakir ranked as wide receiver 29. So go ahead and flip your coin and don't blame me because it wasn't my fault. I'm going to lean slightly Thielen just because Thielen, I think, is the alpha in that offense, such as it is, such as there is an alpha and such as it is alleged offense. Khalil Shakir, on the other hand, I'm not so sure Buffalo has to throw all that much against New England. So, yeah, I'm going to lean Thielen in that one. And I am actually playing him in a couple of very important leagues that I'm still alive in. Not my home league, obviously, but I am playing Thielen. So.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody rolling Thielen? Anybody going different?
No, you got to go Thielen. The Bills aren't going to throw. Patriots have no offense, but they have really good corners. I mean, if you look at PFF.com, it's, Christian Gonzalez is the 10th best. Del Pettis, who's in the slot, who beyond Shakir is the 27th best. And then Jonathan Jones on the outside is 46th best. So 3 solid corners. So no matter where Shakir lines up, he's got a tough matchup. Amari Cooper just came out and said he's happy at getting no targets.
And this is going to be one of those weeks where he scores twice on
he's going to get also he gets 11 targets. Yeah, so it's not the squeaky wheel, but it's enough of a squeak where it's like he's not complaining, but he's also like saying something. I know he's happy, but we'll see. I know he wants to win, but I think they're going to make an extra effort to get him the ball.
I'm not hitting any of my incentives in my contract, but I'm happy.
She's coming in, and Merry Christmas to all. We got Chris saying that it's going to be a Jonnu legacy game this week. Jonnu has come out of the woodwork this year. It's been exciting for people that looked for deep tight ends or wanted to be able to grab somebody off waivers. If you're a tight end streamer, you definitely you found Jonnu Smith this year, and you probably just held on to him. Especially towards the back half of the year. We got Ron T. Evening, fellas. Aaron Rodgers in shootout with the Rams or Purdy versus the Fins. Also, Brent Strange, TJ Hawk, or DK Metcalf in a Superflex PPR tight end premium league. He said, I'm a little worried about the weather in the Vikehawks game. Thanks. So I'm going to turn this one over to Evan. Evan, on the first half, are you going Aaron Rodgers or Purdy this week?
Yeah, man. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has looked decent, a little bit here, feeding Devontae and Garrett Wilson. I don't know if I could trust Aaron Rodgers, though. Miami's been pretty solid. I thought their defense would be a little worse once they got Tua back. Like, I thought it was maybe the way they played, but they've still been okay. Miami's not terrible on that side of the ball either in the passing game, but I'm going to trust Purdy. Like, season long, he's just been the better quarterback to me. I still think they have enough there. I expect Jennings to bounce back. Kittle, like the Niners offense should have a much better week. I'm still going to roll Purdy there. And just the first one, or you want me to answer the other one too?
You can go ahead, hit it.
Yeah, I'm going to roll Purdy. And then, man, the other one, God, DK Metcalf, so disappointing, man. I don't know what's wrong with Seattle. Like, I like JSN, and it's not a knock on JSN, but, like, you got to get DK Metcalf the football, man. You got to get your best players the football, but they're not doing it. So, like, I can't trust it other than the part of me that says DK's a beast and I would feed him, so he should play. That's not a good enough analysis at this point. And the proof isn't what Seattle's been doing that I can't play him there. I think Hawkinson has a great floor. Like, he's like 5 for 50 guaranteed. And they've been trying to get him in the end zone. I think this is the week he probably gets in. So I like the Hawkinson play, and I think it's safe. But the matchup for Strange is great. And honestly, the only thing that scares me about Strange is that everybody is on him this week, right? And we talk about, like, when that happens, that, like, oh, here comes the bust. But I'm not going to let that overlook the matchup with Vegas for tight ends. I'm not going to overlook Mac Jones loving the middle of the field. Like, the process tells me with tight end premium especially, like, I think there's a little more upside with Strange. So I think I'm going to roll with Strange here. But I understand if you roll with Hawkinson too. I'm going to take Strange, though.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going with Rodgers over Purdy. I do like Strange. I like the matchup. I think Metcalf's got a tough matchup. I can see Hawkinson, but I think there's some questions there. I'm going with Rodgers over Purdy. Purdy has not been great in the past 3 games. And here's what I know about Aaron Rodgers. He is an attention whore. That's what he is. He plays with a lot of spite, and he's egotistical, and he wants to show off. His Netflix documentary just dropped last week. He wants to capitalize on that hype. He wants to not come out and have a bad performance. He's been really good lately. I think he's going to continue to play with that little extra vigor just because he knows he's in the news right now, and he wants to show people that he is still Aaron Rodgers. So I think I'll take him over Purdy in a tough matchup.
Let's go back to the dark, Aaron.
All right,
As a Packer fan, you can't trust Aaron Rodgers.
we're gonna keep rolling, and we got Derek PPR Flex 1, Shakir or McMillan. Shakir or McMillan this week?
I think you got to go McMillan. Like I said, we talked about Shakir a little bit earlier. Tough matchups. McMillan's been hot, stepping in and kind of that Chris Godwin role with Mike Evans coming back and taking some of the top coverage back away from him. So I'm going to ride the hot hand with McMillan.
Everybody on the same page? Anybody different?
My rankings right now disagree, but I agree with you. I was just talking with a friend of mine who's facing a similar dilemma in one of his leagues where he's fighting for a playoff spot here. And yeah, McMillan seems to have finally kind of seized and settled into that Chris Godwin role in the offense, slot in the, even if he's not necessarily Chris Godwin-esque. But also then with K-Dot now, they're going to need somebody on quick outs. They're going to need somebody underneath on across the middle. They're going to need that in the offense. I think that you're more likely to get that out of McMillan than you are out of Evans or Kieft or whoever else is backing up.
K-Dot in and Sterling Shepard. And
because K-Dot may not play. K-Dot may not play. And that's the, to me, that's the key there for Jalen McMillan. I'm going to have to update my rankings, obviously, before Sunday afternoon, but Jalen McMillan is an intriguing play because of the K-Dot situation and because he has finally grabbed that Chris Godwin. So,
yeah, and even if he's not playing, you want him not playing in the spot in this game because if you put him on the outside against Amani Uorje or however you say that, that's a really good matchup because you expect Bland to be on Evans and then you have Jordan Lewis in the slot on Sterling Shepard. So maybe not the best slot matchup, but on two wide sets, which Tampa may run a ton of with their running backs. I think he's got a real good matchup. So ride the hot hand until it fails you, I think, at this point.
Love it. Love it. All right. And so Rome, the host, appreciate you tuning in, Rome. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe. Always enjoy new watchers. Okay, tough one. All right. Pick one running back, one wide receiver, one flex. All right. So you got Ford, Madison, Miller, Patrick Taylor, Tracy. So 5 running backs there to choose from. Then wide receiver, you got Thielen, Downs, Jennings, McMillan. So running back first, Evan, who you taking?
Okay, running back first. Let's see. We have Madison, Miller, Taylor, Tracy. I'm going Jerome Ford here. Everything we said in the beginning, like I do. Yeah. I like Kendre Miller, but tough spot at Green Bay to get a chance to be the guy. Although I think he could be we could see one of those ugly 8 catches for 21 yard type thing. And, that'll help you if you play him. But Jerome Ford, Jerome Ford could do that and also get the carries and actually be, successful on the ground. And this is the Bengals defense that hasn't been good. Ford should be able to find some success. Cleveland should put up some points in this matchup. And so I like Ford there for the running back. Wide receiver, I'm playing Juwan Jennings. I'm not sitting Jennings. He had a bad game last week, but Purdy loves him. I think Jennings is the real deal. I think he's just tough to guard. I think he gets the targets. I think he's what they wanted Brandon Ayuk to be. I'm just not worried about him this one. So it's Ford and Jennings for me. And then I'm probably going to go Thielen. Like I said, I like Kendre, but Thielen, no Leggett. I think Coker might miss too. Bryce Young just throws him the football. He's looking at, 7 to 10 targets. He's reliable, which means he's going to catch, 80% of those. I think there should be plenty of points in Carolina, Arizona as well. So that gives him a good shot at finding the end zone. I like Juba. I think they run the ball well. But, yeah, give me Ford, Jennings, Thielen.
Like it. Everybody on the same page? Anybody different?
I mean, I'm definitely –
I'm agreeing with Evan. I'm just saying, Rome, if we're wrong, you know who to blame, not
I'm going Ford for sure. I think we're all in agreement with that. I'm going Thielen as one of the wide receivers. I don't think there's another receiver or running back I put in there. I mean, I don't like Tyron Tracy. He'd be my next option if I had to. I might take McMillan over Jennings just because of the matchup and kind of the down game from Jennings. So McMillan's closer. So I would actually go Ford, Thielen, and McMillan. But
I've got
I think
Jennings as
wrong
wide
with
receiver
Jennings.
21 this week. I've got Jennings as wide receiver 21 this week. So I mean, but you're right. I think the choice is between the wide receivers. The only running back play here is Ford.
Ford, yeah.
Thielen is one of the wide receivers, and your choice is between Jennings and McMillan. I'm taking Jennings in this one, but it pains me to do it. So yeah.
All right, loving it. Loving the questions. Keep dropping them in. Some doozies tonight. Ayo, drop Ray Davis for Seahawks, Raiders, or Rams defense. Stashing for next week. Who do you want in your finals? You want the Raiders, Rams, or Seahawks defense? And if so, you dropping Ray Davis for them? I mean, I think Ray Davis is probably expendable. I've liked how they've started to use him and get him more involved. But I do think don't know how many people are in your league, Patrick, but in the grand scheme of things, he's probably expendable. And so, the question, Seahawks, Raiders, Rams, defense, who you taking?
You don't want the Rams next week. They're playing Arizona.
Yeah, and I don't think you want – I mean, Seattle is playing Chicago, but I'm looking at the Raiders playing New Orleans, and as much as I love the quarterbacks there, like I love Spencer Rattler, I just don't think I can count on him to, toast the defense. So I think I'm fine dropping Ray Davis because it looks like, he's not worked in as much. You're not going to ever start him. So I think you pick up the Raiders defense for next week.
Yeah, if you're dropping him, you're doing it for the Raiders defense. I mean, I'm a Packer fan. I hate the Bears, but yeah, I have less confidence in New Orleans than I do in Chicago in terms of scoring fantasy points. So, yeah.
Getting a lot of love. Derek saying thanks, guys. Rome saying thanks, guys. I know that was a hard one. Mr. Magic popping in. Yo. Hey, appreciate all the love, you guys. Ron T, appreciate it, fellas. Keep rocking. We're enjoying the interaction and the conversation tonight. We got so do we finalize on that?
I would just say, are those the only three options? Because I'm okay with the Raiders, but again, they're still going on the road. I'd like to find a defense that's at home if possible, but of these three, I don't want to take Seattle going into Chicago. I mean, the Rams hosting Arizona. Arizona can put up points. So with the lack of offense that the Saints have, I would do it for the Raiders out of these three. I'm just curious if there's
Patrick,
anybody else.
Who are you playing this week, Patrick? Who do you have at DST this week? Yeah, you got to ask yourself too, are the Raiders versus the Saints better than who you have right now? And I don't know if Ray Davis is a handcuff for your James Cook or if you just picked him up to snipe somebody else's handcuff or what, but that's a valid point, Evan.
And looking at other teams that I would want, you have the Colts going to the Giants. So again, a road team, which is bad. The only home team I really like is Jacksonville versus Tennessee at home. So Jacksonville's defense versus the Titans might not be a bad pickup if you want a home team, but those are the only two but defenses I would really be looking for.
Love it. We got Brent Bradford coming in. Judy or Hopkins this week? If you asked me this last week when Jameis Winston was throwing the football, it would have been Judy all day long. But obviously, this week we have a totally different quarterback. We have a quarterback that came in last week, and what did he throw? Maybe 80 yards total. I think it was like 83 yards in that game, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Does that mess you up on your Judy perspective enough to bench him for Hopkins? Because you also saw, I don't know if you guys saw it, but they're saying that in order to not have to compensate so much in the draft compensation for the trade for Hopkins, they're limiting his snaps. Now that's just hearsay, but that's out there. Chiefs do get Hollywood back this week. Are you leaning still Judy over Hopkins, or are we now in Hopkins land?
Rankings wise, go ahead.
No, go tell us your rankings.
Oh, well, okay. Well, rankings wise, I have Judy at 34 and Hopkins at 40. And yes, I'm a little worried about the Hollywood Brown situation. I'm way worried about the Dorian Thompson-Robinson situation because if you look at the last time the Browns played the Bengals this year, the Bengals faced all three quarterbacks on the roster for Cleveland, but the one who got by far the most work against Cincinnati back in week 7 was Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and he was absolutely terrible, and Jerry Jeudy did close to next to nothing, okay? Now, I know Judy's been on a run lately, but Dorian Thompson-Robinson is just not the passer that Jameis Winston is, for better, for worse, or in any way, shape, or form. So I'm scared of that, but DeAndre Hopkins has not been the picture of consistency in Kansas City. They're getting Hollywood Brown back, who they signed originally to be their number one guy, and they finally get the shiny new toy back. And so I'm not sure what that looks like. I mean, it could be one of those things like we saw Amari Cooper's first week in Buffalo where he scored a touchdown. So I'm still going Jeudy over Hopkins. I don't like either one of them. If you have any other option, I would literally play it because I'm scared of both of these dudes this week, but Jeudy is the one I have ranked higher.
I'm not worried about Jerry Jeudy right now. If you look at Dorian Thompson, yes, he's not that good of a passer, but he had 9 attempts last week. 4 of them went to Jerry Jeudy. So in terms of volume and being like heavily targeted, he still could be that in offense. I'm not worried about Elijah Moore. I'm not worried about whoever else, like David Njoku was banged up. I think Jerry Jeudy is still going to be hyper targeted. He's not going to see the 14 targets that he saw last week or the 13 he saw 2 weeks before, but he might see 7, 8, 9 targets. He'll still see a high volume. Now, are they good targets? Probably. But I'll take the volume and opportunities over. I'll take 9 mediocre targets to 5 good targets from Patrick Mahomes if Patrick Mahomes plays.
To that point, though, sir, when they played in week 7, David Njoku had 14 flipping targets there,
that is very
buddy.
true.
And the running backs combined had 6 targets, and we know who those targets are going to this week. Jerome Ford didn't play in week 7.
Yeah.
He'll get all 6 of those targets this week.
But Jerry Jeudy did have 6 in that game, so he still had a good number.
I'm arguing against playing the guy that I have higher ranked because I'm trying to beg this dude not to play either of them if you can at all help it. Go see if Kendrick Miller's still on your wire. Come on.
Absolutely. I love it. Loving the feedback. Guys, thank you. As you tuned in, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. As you know, this show is sponsored by the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. That's fantasysportsadvice.network. It is our social media platform dedicated to fantasy sports. And fantasy sports only. I don't care about your politics. I don't care about your CrossFit or your Pilates workout. I don't care what you had for dinner. I just want to talk ball. And that's what this platform is. So during this show, we always take a section right here in the middle. And I know Amber's question's next, but I know she'll be patient while we hop over here and answer one of our new subscribers' questions. But we always pop over to the Fantasy Sports Advice Network and take a question or two there. So we're going to do that now, right after this video.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
Love it. And so right here, popping up on our Fantasy Sports Advice, we have articles, videos, podcasts, groups you can hang out with, tools. We have rankings. We have trade calculators. We have everything that you need. We have a league classifieds if you're looking for a league to play in. We got NFL updates. Chris Olave back at practice. Everything is here to be your central fantasy sports community. And we got Shady Nasty dropping the question right here. He says, anyone replacing Higgins with Vlad or Khalil standard scoring? So obviously we didn't roll Lad last night. So he's still got Higgins in. So the question is, are you swapping out Higgins for a Shakir or a Kendre Miller, or even a Jawan Jennings, or are you rolling with Higgins in the flex? What do we think, fellas?
Yeah, I'm still rolling with T. Higgins here. I mean, outside of the one game 2 weeks ago, I think it was, like, Joe Burrow still targets him like crazy. That's kind of it for me. I just think T. Higgins is the best player on that list, and Cincinnati should have no problem scoring, throwing, running. I'm playing T. Higgins here.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow's
I
on like
agree.
a month and a half run of 3 touchdowns or more in a game, and every time this year he's thrown for 3 touchdowns in a game, except for twice. But every time this year he's thrown for 3 touchdowns in a game, T. Higgins gets one of them. T. Higgins is my wide receiver 10 on the week. You roll with T. Higgins until you literally can't roll with him. So until and unless he is ruled out on Sunday, you roll with him.
Yeah, he's been cleared to play according to 9 hours ago by RotoWire.
There we go.
So I think he's good. He had a touchdown last time they played in Week 7. I agree. T. Higgins is just still a alpha wide receiver, even with Jamar Chase. He's good for 7-8 targets at least, and he's going to get you 70 yards, and there's a good chance of a touchdown. So I think you roll with T. Higgins.
Love it. So here's a doozy over there, and I'm actually debating with this one myself. We got Dennis Clemens, a new member, just joined the other day, said, how are we feeling this week about McLaurin against the Eagles and Mixon running against the Chiefs defense? Obviously, we kind of get a different tale between these two players in the fact that, like, last time McLaurin played the Eagles, he went 2 targets, 1 catch, 10 total yards. It wasn't a great game. The Eagles somehow always seem to have McLaurin's numbers. And then on the other side, last week, the Chiefs have one of the better defenses against the run, but we saw Jerome Ford, excel against them. So, I mean, where it seems to lean in Mixon's favor based on most recent scripts. Can you bench McLaurin for Mixon with McLaurin seeming like he, no matter what, is Jaden Daniels' primary target?
I don't think you can play McLaurin. I just think the Eagles' secondary is so good. Yes, they're young, but they have been playing lights out. They always seem to have his number. There's just no one outside of McLaurin other than like Zach Ertz. There's just not another wide receiver that they have to worry about, so they're going to bracket coverage McLaurin most likely. So I'm not starting him. Joe Mixon's an interesting one. He's cleared to play. He doesn't have the ankle injury designation anymore, but he still was dealing with that. Houston is, I believe, in the playoffs, locked up their division, so they really have nothing to play for. And they're pretty much locked into the 4 seed. I just don't know if they keep rolling Joe Mixon out. He's got a ton of volume. I mean, he's had 3 or 4 games under like 20 under 15 carries. So if he still gets that volume, I think you can play Mixon.
When I read this comment, I didn't necessarily take it as an either or. I took it as just he was wondering, well, do you play these guys this week, period? And so I answered accordingly, and I said, hey, you got to roll both of them out there until they prove otherwise. And I know that the Eagles' history with McLaurin isn't great, but I've got Mixon and McLaurin are both number ones in their respective positions this week for me. If they're healthy, you roll them out. It's the playoffs. Don't get cute. Don't think that you're going to start Kendre Miller and then light the world on fire or whatever else. They're both studs. Treat them as such. Play them if they're healthy. Play them.
Chase says, "Play your studs." You got something to say there, Evan?
I mean, my only question again is, and we talked about this in the beginning when Dustin talked about like what your team looks like. I mean, who are the options for Mixon or McLaurin? There's a few guys that obviously I would play over them, but it's a very short list. Like Chase just said, I mean, Mixon is right there, maybe high end RB2, right? But like he's top 12 most likely going into the week if he's healthy. Like he's used in the passing game. It's a tough matchup. And I do expect McLaurin to play better. I think that rib injury definitely bothered Jaden Daniels the first game. He did not run the way he usually does. So I think they find a way to get McLaurin the ball a little more over the middle. Does he have a big day? Maybe not. I mean, it's not hard to have a better game than he had in the first matchup.
Yeah.
But I think they find a way to get him across over the middle more than they did that week, the way they've used him recently. But yeah, just who are you talking about? Like we were talking earlier, and it was Jonathan Taylor, Chuba Hubbard, James Cook, Joe Mixon. And the argument was starting those 3 guys over Joe Mixon.
That's a debate.
I can get behind something like that this week. That's a very short list, but most likely no. I'm just playing those guys and hoping that it works out.
And that was my point when I answered him on the site. I said, like, you likely don't have surefire better options than either one of these dudes. Like, if you do, kudos to you because you destroyed your league in all likelihood this year. But you likely don't have knockdown, drag out better options than these two guys this week and play your studs. You can't move away from them now just because you're overthinking the playoffs.
Yep.
Well, you see that. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Tyler. He just said Dobbs, Coker, Muth. So McLaurin and Mixon.
Yeah.
Don't get cute.
The like I like Nismo's comment down there. He said, I think McLaurin's last match against the Eagles was a fluke. He had 2 targets. They want the division. I think McLaurin wants to play. They want to play, and so I'm looking for a good game. Dennis, thanks for tuning in to the show. You saw your question accented on. He said, I was 11-3, laugh out loud. So he's having a good season.
You did it. Attaboy.
He said, I'm trusting you guys and rolling with McLaurin and Mixon. It really does come to that whole, like, got to play your studs. Like, you've been rolling with them all year. The likelihood, like, when it's a stud, like, it's 50-50. Like, you could see a touchdown, right? McLaurin can easily have an over-the-middle, 3-yard, 4-yard slant for a touchdown, and all of a sudden you're relevant. And not to count, like, 1 40-yard bomb because we know Jaden Daniels will air it out, right? Like, Mixon could catch a pass out of the backfield that ends up him in the end zone. Like, we see it weekly, right? And the difference is with your studs, it's a higher probability of that happening. You're not looking for somebody to come off the bench that hadn't played in 3 weeks, and all of a sudden do this, right? Like, we're saying Mixon will have a bad game. Like, he has to have a bad game for it to not be suitable. If he just has an average game, you're doing better than most. The only time I'm interacting with something like that is if I have somebody like a Jerome Ford or somebody with like some real pinnacle power right behind that decision that I could replace. Like if you ask me this week, am I playing Ford or Mixon? I actually would say I'm playing Jerome Ford. Which sounds crazy to say, but that's because the high level of upside on a player that we've already seen be a stud this year, not somebody that we're hoping like a Patrick Taylor, right? That we're hoping is going to come in and perform.
Right. That's a calculated decision though. Yeah. Like how dumb are you going to feel? How bad are you going to beat yourself up between now and next August if you play Jalen Coker and Terry McLaurin has 2 touchdowns and 89 yards catching, 89 yards receiving on 7 catches versus, I played McLaurin because he's awesome, but Jalen Coker outscored him by 3 points. Like how bad are you going to feel that you sat the wide receiver 5 on the year for Jalen Coker?
Yep.
All right, so we're loading up on questions, so we're gonna have to kind of rapid fire so we can get caught up. I want to try to get everybody's in without pushing too much overtime. We got Amber Alert, PPR, Spears, Pacheco, or Bucky. Pick 2. Patrick Taylor is available to pick up. I think Bucky Irving is an automatic. The question is, are we going Spears or Pacheco?
I'm going Pacheco. I don't like Spears. Like, yes, he had a good game with 6 receptions for 87 yards, a touchdown, but he's averaging 3.52 yards on the season. He hasn't really been worked in. The last time he had significant carries was week 4, 15 carries for 39 yards. He saved his day with the touchdown. I'm going with Pacheco. I think they run a ton with Kansas City with Mahomes being banged up, even though he's not banged up. I think they're going to, run Pacheco a ton.
Pacheco's the number 1 on a better offense.
Yep.
Spears is not.
Love it. Keep moving. Evan, I'm going to throw this one to you. Cup, Brees, or Bucky, half-point PPR. I keep giving you the doozies, man, because I know you got
you definitely are kicking me off with the tougher ones there. This is fine, I mean, man, Cup, Brees, or Bucky. Yeah, it's not.
What a conundrum to be in, to have those 3 players to have.
Right. Oh, yeah, first world problems, dude.
Yeah, I mean, man, can I trust Brees Hall right now? That's probably my big question on that one. Let me just see real quick.
You almost feel like you got to go with like the surefire, like who's been lighting it up, who's been hot, and it's probably wild to say that you may lean like a Bucky Irving.
I will say, Tyler, I would say that I think that I'm going to go. I'm fine with Bucky Irving here. Like Brees Hall has not been anything to write home about. Cooper Kupp has struggled 2 games in a row. I know Bucky had the back injury last week, but he still carried the ball 15 times, was involved in the offense. Like, he wasn't banged up last week to not play. I don't see why he's not going to come out and do the same thing in a great matchup against Dallas. Like, he should have a great day. He should find the end zone. He should have a couple catches. Brees, is there a way he gets a lot of catches? Sure. But again, it hasn't been happening. I'm going to go Bucky Irving here. I'm good with it. I expect a big week from Bucky Irving.
I agree. I've been calling him the Buccaneer. That's his nickname now. Like, he is the Buccaneer. Like, that's just roll with him and stick with him. He's doing great.
It's low hanging fruit, but it's sweet.
It's perfect.
It's great. That's perfect. Yeah, Bucky Irving, just do it.
Love it. Okay, so
jersey.
just give me the yes or no answer. BHS Cardinal 16. Garindo is likely to miss. The 49ers typically, it doesn't matter who runs the ball, they're successful. But can you go with Patrick Taylor this week?
Yes, he's a flex play at worst.
No. There's a reason why he's a fourth stringer. There's a reason why he's always been a fourth stringer.
He's a fourth stringer on a team that has 3 number ones.
And he's not Shanahan's guy. They brought him in as depth. Every other guy that's had success in San Francisco was Shanahan's guy. This is just a depth.
So does Abanaconda, does the Candyman outscore Patrick Taylor this week?
I mean, I keep waiting on Abanaconda to hit the field because it's going to be – I think he's going to be decent when he does.
But he's got to actually get the flipping ball, and he so far hasn't been able to do that in 2 years in the NFL. If it's a starting running back for the San Francisco 49ers, I'm willing to play that dude as a flex at worst.
All right.
It all depends on who it's over as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sure. But hence he's a flex. He's my number 28 on the week. I've got him behind Najee Harris. We just talked about what a great play Najee Harris is.
So full point PPR, flex, pick one, Strange, Pacheco, or DK.
I'm going Pacheco. He catches the ball a little bit. They're going to run the ball. Mahomes is healthy, but not really healthy. They're not really playing for much other than try to lock up the 1 seed, so they just might pound the rock with Pacheco.
Any difference of opinion? Everybody on the same page? All right. Keep rolling. Getting some love. Thanks, guys. We got Scott White in the house. McLaurin or ETN in my flex standard league. No PPR bonus.
It's got to be ETN because if you don't get the PPR bonus, why would you ever start a wide receiver over a running back?
Well,
because it's Travis Etienne and it's 2024.
14 carries last week.
He did have 14 carries, but Bigsby still had 11. And if Jackson was winning this game, it might be the Tank Bigsby show. That's a tough one. I mean, PPR, I would want ETN if it was PPR and they were maybe going to be losing. But I think we could see a little bit more Tank if Jacksonville's able to, take the lead in this game. But I do hear what Dustin's saying. You're looking at 10 to 14 carries probably, where McLaurin's getting, half of that in targets. So, if you're looking at getting the ball on your hands more, then, sure, go ETN because the Raiders' run defense also sucks. That's very true. So,
and they can't score.
Terry McLaurin is still wide receiver 8 on the year in standard in non-PPR. He's scoring you 11.5 points a game. Are you that confident that Travis Etienne in 2024, not 2023 Travis Etienne, 2024 Travis Etienne, with Tank Bigsby actually being somehow, some way a thing, can get you 11.5 points?
Yes.
I didn't like Travis Etienne
That's
in 2023.
All right, so it's hope that helps out.
Good decision.
Hope that helps, Scott. Mr. Magic, if Pollard misses, which 2 do you like? Full PPR, Spears, Keenan, Devonta. He said, I feel awful about Devonta. It could be a trap with Saquon having a game. It sounds like your debate, you're not really feeling Devonta. The debate is more Spears, Keenan. I did see an update on our NFL updates tab on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network that said that Pollard missed practice again today. So we are wondering if he will, if he will be available Sunday. I mean, it's only Friday, so it's still there, but are they resting him? Will he be available? I think that if he's not available, I think Spears takes a huge uptick here. But is it so if Pollard's out, I lean that way, but if not, I kind of do we like Keenan Allen?
I'm starting Keenan and Devonta. I'm out on Tajay Spears. He's not that good.
Wide receiver 5 last time they played the Lions, and everyone who has ever played defense for the Lions is injured this week. It's Spears and then a decision. If Pollard's out, it's a Spears and then a decision between Keenan and Devontae, and you can flip a coin honestly. But yeah, Keenan lit the Lions up, and there's no one that can play defense on that team right now who's healthy. So,
Tajay Spears is not good. Do not start him. That's a trap. He's just not good. He's just not good.
It's a lot of work, though, if Pollard misses. It's a
lot of work against the defense that is.
You don't think Mason Rudolph dumps it off to him a bunch of times? I mean,
Indianapolis sucks against running backs, dude. Yeah.
About 6 targets,
it's hard
30
because
yards.
If
the
Pollard
backfield
doesn't
is his by himself. Yeah, if the backfield is his by himself, it kind of almost just goes back to even the ETN argument. Like, there's so many times his hands will be on the ball and it's PPR. That's why it's hard. I'm not saying that he's great or anything like that. I just feel like the matchup's very good and the opportunity and volume is there. But Keenan, don't get it twisted. This man should have had an even better night if Caleb hit him on that 30-yard touchdown. Yep. He's had 8+ targets in like 5 straight games. We know who he is. He's healthy. He's been doing it for a year and a half, right? A year and 3 quarters. He was dominant last year. So I'm okay with playing Keenan, like he's going to see 8+ targets. So he's going to get you, 5 or 6 catches, the yards, probably a good chance at a touchdown, right? I mean, they're going to have to score points, and he's just been feasting. So I'm okay there, but I'm a little higher on Spears than Dustin.
I mean, Keenan Allen
the debate is between the 2 wide receivers for me. Yeah.
Keenan Allen just played Detroit not too long ago. 5 receptions, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns. I don't think you can not play Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I'm right there for sure. And Devontae looked great. I mean, if you have Devontae, you're happy with what happened last week, but I'm playing Keenan for sure.
Keep an eye on A.J. Brown's health. If A.J. Brown, for whatever reason, decided they can't play him, then Devontae Smith takes kind of a jump. Yep. But no, if Pollard doesn't go, it's Pollard and a debate between the 2 receivers. If Pollard does go, screw it. Throw the 2 receivers in there and be happy with life.
All right, so we're gonna shift a little bit. So it sounds like if Pollard's out, it's Tajay Keenan. If Pollard plays, it's Keenan Devonta. Except for Dustin, he's going Devonta over Spears, no matter what.
No matter what.
So we have got to lightning round these if we're gonna fit them in the hour. So I'm just gonna hit the question. I'm gonna ask somebody to speak up, and if somebody else in the group doesn't agree and has a valid point of why that should hit. And if you want to kind of like raise your hand, if you really like the question, that's cool too. But that way we can try to nail all these. Everybody's been waiting. I want to make sure we try to get everybody's question. So I'm going to start with this one on me, Jose Rodriguez. I can't trust Mixon. Pick one, Dowdle, Ford, Taylor, Hall, Miller. I already said it earlier. I would roll Ford over Mixon this week. I think he has that much upside, especially in the dump-off game, that it is absolutely 100% relevant and a good take to roll a Ford over Mixon.
Which Taylor is that? Is it Patrick Taylor or Jonathan?
Patrick Taylor.
If it's Patrick Taylor, yeah, no. But if it's Jonathan Taylor, I mean, that shouldn't be a question.
All right, Bengals or Falcons D. I think this is probably DTR, but Falcons D got a pretty good matchup this week. Drew Lock's starting too.
No, I'll take the other. I'll take Bengals. Drew Lock's better than DTR.
I do agree with that.
Falcons are my defense 2. Bengals are my defense 3. It's first world problems again. Flip a coin.
Congratulations, you got a good choice.
Go with the Bengals.
Go with your gut. Yep. Njoku with DTR quarterback or Strange this week. Evan, sounds like you got it. You got it. What's up?
Yeah, I don't know if I got it, but I mean, I'm gonna roll with Strange here. Njoku's coming. I like Njoku. I can see him having a big game, but I don't like DTR. This dude has thrown DTR had a game where he threw the ball 43 times and had like 160 yards. It's like 3.8 per attempt. Yes, they could go to Njoku. Cincinnati's not good against tight ends. Neither is Vegas. But Mac Jones, like I said, loves the middle of the field. Like, I'm just going to take the healthy player and roll with Strange.
If Njoku's healthy, it's Njoku. But if he's not, Strange is an awesome play this week.
Yeah.
That's my take.
I will tell you this. The separator, even if they're both healthy, because I think they both get a lot of, targets, is the depth of target. And I believe the depth of target win is going to go to Strange over Njoku, as Njoku's going to end up with 3 and 5 yard receptions. Nino Pena, which commander we rocking with this week in flex, Terry or Brian Robinson Jr.? It's full PPR league with big play bonuses. Go ahead, Dustin.
Take McLaurin. That should be a high-scoring game. It's for the division. You take the guy who's going to get the big plays and the touchdowns.
And Chase is bowing again to greatness. Let's see. He said not the same big play bonus league, but needing to pick a tight end, Kincaid, Strange, or Pat Freiermuth.
Strange.
Strange.
I like
Take the Strange. You know you like Strange.
I like Strange for the number of targets, but I love Pat for a touchdown. That's the debate there. I love the
Baltimore sucks against the pass. Yeah.
They do.
But Strange, I think Strange is going to get 14 targets.
Volume. Yep, volume.
Dennis said Dubes, Coker, and Muth were his other options from the question earlier. Rodriguez, Jonas to the moon, Waddle D. I think he's saying Jonnu Smith is going to have a great game. Waddle is out. Let's see here. Jose, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Lamb, Evans, AJ, Puka.
They must suck. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you're losing sleep at night, Jose.
Who's your pick to have the least game, the less game?
AJ Brown for me, just with that. He's off the injury point with the knee injury, but it could flare up at any point. So I'll take the 3 other guys that are healthy.
They're literally all in my top 8.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hate yourself, Jose, because everybody else does.
I'm also benching Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the reasoning. He's the only one that gives us a reason, or else it'd almost be impossible.
Man, good work, Jose. Good work. Like, for real.
Yeah, that's
Nino Pena said, I'm sure you guys are loving the Cup, Terry, and Brees questions this week. Oh, yeah, they've been raining down on us. They keep coming. Christian Ova, 2 PPR, 2 flex, 2 wide receivers. Higgins, DK, Cup. McMillan, Shakir, Keenan Allen. I'm going to go ahead and say consensus based on conversations that we've had so far tonight. It is automatically Higgins, Cup, and Keenan Allen. And so at that point, who is the third that you're bringing, or the fourth person that you're bringing into the tandem? Is it Shakir, McMillan, or DK?
I'm shooting McMillan because I think there's more upside there than Shakir. Shakir's higher in my rankings, but McMillan I think has an upside there, and DK just hasn't done smack.
I agree with that because you have the floor with Higgins and Cup and Allen, so you can take the swing on McMillan for a big game.
Boom.
Yeah, I agree.
Love it. Defense: Bengals, Colts, Ravens, Cards, Bills.
Bills.
It's Bills for me too.
Yeah.
I'm rolling with Bills in a ton of leagues. He said, I got Jerome Ford as well. If you think he'd be any of over those in the flex, that's going back to his
Higgins,
question.
DK, Cup.
Ooh,
Yeah. I would roll with Ford over McMillan, like I would go Ford, and then I would go the 3 wide receivers we mentioned, Cup, Higgins, and Keenan Allen. I think
That's the safest play.
I think
once again, good work, Chris. Either way, good work.
Good work. Great team. Jelly of the month evening. Appreciate you tuning in. Hit that like button. Half PPR flex. Pacheco tomorrow in a split.
Pacheco.
Tracy, Ankle, or Patrick Taylor?
Yeah, I would go Pacheco.
Yeah.
Also, I want to know what the jelly of December is.
Yes, yeah.
There you
Are we
go.
talking- Is it boysenberry?
That's such a good question.
lingonberry? Like, what are we talking here?
We need to know.
That's a great name.
Very
Man.
important. Yeah. I'm not playing Tyrone Tracy or Patrick Taylor at all if I don't have to.
Not me neither.
I'm more worried about Tracy than I am about Taylor, because Tracy has been ceding work in the past game, it seems like, to Singletary. Singletary scored the touchdown last week against all logic and reason.
Right.
So yeah, no, I agree.
Man, what a freaking ride that last bit was. We were like, pow, 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 pow. Hopefully we got all your questions answered. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Guys, real quick, just let them know. We'll start with you, Chase, go clockwise, who you are, where they can maybe find your content if they want to connect with you. And
Chase Thornton, if it's on a social media, it's at STT Chase FFB, because no one else in their right mind has that tag. So you can also find me right here on Fantasy Sports Advice Network on Wednesday nights on Operation Domination with Dan Mader, Chris Dalhauer, and Adam LaRue, talking about everything you need to know for the week. I will do a DFS cocktail. I'll tell you who to play in your DFS lineups. We'll also talk about betting. We'll talk about dynasty. We'll talk about everything you want to know about fantasy. Catch us Wednesday nights right here on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network.
And I'm Dustin Ludke. You can find me on Twitter at the DUnit13, or you can check me out Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern on Bridge the Gap. I'll be doing AMAs. I'll be there on Tuesday, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, doing AMAs for the rest of this year. And then I got some great guests lined up coming after that. But Twitter's the best place to find my stuff from Dynasty Pros and Fan Tracks all year.
There it is. All right, Twitter right there. I'm Evan at SoCal Ball Nerd. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me every Thursday, 4 o'clock Eastern on the Sports Affiliation YouTube with at IDP Iggy. We do Thursday Night Football throughout the year. We'll be shifting over to some NBA after that, but every Thursday you can catch me. Or at thesportsaffiliation.com. You can find some work there as well.
Love it, man. What a crew tonight. You guys were absolutely stellar. I don't think that there was a lull in the conversation all night. I freaking loved it. Thank you guys that tuned in. You guys were the rock stars. You drove the conversation. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we hope to see you next week. I'm Tyler, Fantasy Sports Advice Network. You see my tags right there and underneath my name. I'm here every Friday, 9 o'clock Central, with guests, and it's always a good time. So we'll see you next week on From the Forum. Have a good week, and we hope you win.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com.